Hello everyone, welcome to this video tutorial. Um, we have already spent a lot of time talk about the other type of indicators and how can we create indicator filters around those technical analysis indicators. Yes, we haven't talked about anything with moving average so far. So in this tutorial, we are going to look into how can we create indicator filters around moving average. So even though the moving average is the most fundamental and very basic indicator, and itself is the moving average itself can review lots of information. Um, so okay, today let's dig into this indicator and see what kind of useful indicator filters we can create it. So first of all, I will take you guys um, through the documentations because the moving average is such a very basic thing. So we already spent an entire video tutorial only talk about a moving average indicator in our indicator playlist. If you don't know what is the moving average is, please go back to that video in our indicator playlist and have a look at that one first. Do some of your own research and come back to this tutorial. I think you will be very confident and comfortable. Um, okay, so for now, first of all, is let's see what the moving average uh, related functions we can use. So if you go into our main page, um, indicator filter function documentations, you can and you browse into this section. As you can see, moving average is sitting one of those group of indicators. All of them are having the same functions. Okay. Um, Not each function are very useful in regards to moving average, but I'm going to talk about some of them. I think it's useful for moving average. The first one is a value. So the value actually returns current week's units moving average value. Okay. The units means if you are browsing in weekly chart, that will be a week that will be your moving average value for this week. If you're browsing daily chart, so that returns today's trading days moving them average value. Same with the previous value. So the previous value just returns last unit's moving average value. Okay, let's jump the price, change in price and change in percentage. It's not usual for people to pay more attention on what's the percentage change in moving average value. But this function's there, so you can use it. But I don't think it's very common. So I'm gonna jump that one for those functions. And so in terms of the value, okay, and the next group of functions we should be pay attention is the direction. So first of all, this is the value, right? So you can get the value for moving average, the value and the previous value as well. I'll show you how to use them usually later in the market scan part. But the different section is you have to move it down to this section, and these four functions right here. Usually, these two functions is important because it tells you the moving average direction. So it will tells you is that moving average moving up or moving down. So it's sloping up or sloping down. So if it is sloping down since last peak, that means the moving average you're using is actually moving downwards. And another one is sloping up since the last 12, which means the moving average actually is moving higher. Okay, so that's pretty much very simple. A few functions here. Let's see what these functions in the in actions. Let's go jump into our application. All right, before we start, as you can see, I opened a APT share chart in our application. The moving average, if you want to open, it's just the first one, MA moving average. So there's configuration here, and if you check the explanational exponential, which means you check the EMA. But if you not check that, that's a simple moving average. So let's highlight that one. The default is 5. Change it here, 10. That would be 10 weeks simple moving average. If you check that EMA, that would becomes 10 weeks EMA. Okay, so that's pretty much this indicator displaying in the chart. All right. I don't know you guys remembers. We're used to using a moving average pair to monitor the underlying trend of the stock. For example, I specify this fast moving average as 12 weeks EMA, and also I bring up another moving average, and now I define it as 26 to behave like our slower moving average. Right. Okay. So that's how we calculate the MACD, remember? So basically some traders using the moving average crossover with each other, you use this dual moving average system to generate the buy and the sell signals. What I mean is, if you see the fast moving average, the light blue one is move across above the slow moving average, you buy, and you sell when the fast moving average cross below the slower moving average, and you sell. Here again, the fast moving average cross above the pink one, so you buy, and if it stays above, you hold until here the fast moving average moves below the pink one, so you sell. So in this particular share, because you have a very strong you have a very strong bull market behind it, so the trend is very strong, so you can use this trading system to generate quite decent profit. Alright, so this is just a little bit of review for the moving average indicator. Alright, let's move into the indicator filter management pane. Okay, let's start the first one. So I already created 4 indicator filters, so let's go through one by one, and each one I used some of the most important functions are supported by the moving average. Let's take a look at the first one. So the first filter, this is the market scan. Okay, sorry. So I create the first one. All right, right here. The first one is moving average overtake 30 weeks EMA. That's the name. But you can see I have 3 functions here. Let's review one of them one by one. The first one, the first condition is the weekly open value, which means the open price of this stock has to less than a 30 weeks EMA's value, which means the open price has to stay below the 30 weeks EMA. Okay. Second condition is this week's closing price stays above the 30 weeks EMA. So this condition means we're looking for a condition that your price is penetrate your share price is jumping from below the 30 weeks EMA to above 30 weeks EMA. So this is a turning point, because this week is jumping below the 30 weeks EMA, to above the 30 weeks EMA. All right. We also have one more condition here. So that's why what I mentioned before is the direction related with function. So we are using is sloping up since last 12. So as you can see, we want to see a share price jumping from below 30 weeks EMA to above 30 weeks EMA, and also I think that's very obvious. It is the 30 weeks EMA itself has to be moving up. So with these 3 conditions together, as you can see, the moving average functions, we can scanning the market and see is that kind of bullish sentiment behind it, right? Okay, let's use this filter to do a market scan now. If you want to create a market scan, so first we're going to the analysis and then bring up our market scan management, so which is this guy. So I already created here. If you want to create a new, you right click and then say add market scan, it will pops out this management page for you. But we already created. Let's delete the old results and do a fresh scanning. So as you can see, I scanning up to last week, which is the last trading day of 2021. The market I'm going to scan is the ASX 200, which is top 200 Australia share. So those are big companies. The condition I'm using is 1, which is this group. Okay, so let's see what we get. So if you're going to run the market scan, you need to open the market scan control panel, which is the last one. If you start it, let's looking for the first one. Okay, let's click the star. Review the condition. You have 3 conditions here. All right, and looks right. And let's just click OK. Yes, we do have 4 results here. And refresh. Let's going to check the results. Okay, you double click that green item, that's your results. And now you bring up all the results in the right hand side page. Let's take a look at the first one. So we are the BGA cheese. So that's the dairy market. Sorry, the company. Let's just bring up the 30 weeks moving average EMA. So that's what we set it up here. So as you can see, this one, the current week, the open price is starts from here. So that's the open price of this week. So it's below the 30 weeks moving average, right? So that's the first condition. The second one is it has to be closing above the 30 weeks moving average. It's closed here. And also the moving average have to moving up since last 12. So it's moving up a little bit here, but it is moving up, right? Since last 12 it's ticking up. So that's correct as well. So the 3 conditions fulfilled, and of course this one is in our market scan results. So as you can see, some of them, if you are trade very frequently, sometimes people want to use those crossover as an indicator, as the signal to generate the signal, especially when it breaks up from the trading range. Maybe not very good example here, but as you can see, maybe its trading range is this one, and yep. So as you can see, this one, it starts from 30 weeks moving average, but it's jumped above 30 weeks moving average, and 30 weeks moving average EMA as moving up, so you want to buy. And here you have another condition. Sorry, here's another scenario, same situation happens. So we just use this as the example to tell you how you can use this functions to generate the useful market scan to get your results. Let's take a look at the second one, GWA. Let's do things quickly. Take up the moving average. You have to configure it as an EMA because we're using EMA, and then it's a 30 weeks EMA. Okay, again, the EMA is ticking up slightly front here, so that's correct. And also the price is jumping below 30 weeks moving EMA, and then closing price it stays above 30 weeks EMA. The 30 weeks EMA itself is ticking up to the very little end here, so maybe not right clear, but it is ticking up here. All right, another one, BGA, that one, maybe TGR. The last one, we'll take a look again here, and 30 weeks EMA. Let's open. Okay, so here is another good example. This week's is jumping below the 30 EMA and then closing above 30 weeks EMA, so that's correct. And then EMA 30 weeks EMA itself is sloping up since last 12. Okay, that's the first one. As you can see, you can use those value itself to generate some useful information. Especially you can pair up with the previous value, this week's value, etc. Like you're going to look at. So you can generate useful. You can create a useful filters and filter out of useful information. Okay, let's take a look at the second one. All right, the second one is we're using this pair. So let's take a look what we're doing here. So first condition we used. Okay, so we're using the previous week's 10 previous week's 10 weeks EMA previous value. So okay, it's pretty hard to. We are using 10 weeks EMA. Well, we get the previous week's value because we picked up the weekly chart, and this previous EMA value has to be less than previous simple moving average 30 weeks. All right, so previous value. So that means the previous week's 10 weeks EMA has to be less than 30 weeks 30 weeks EMA. And another one is this week's 10 weeks EMA has to be above. So okay, so this one exactly looking for a trading signal, because as remember, if you're using a pair of moving average generated by signal, the fast moving average unit value we used here is a 10 weeks EMA. The slower moving average, the average on value we used in this 30 weeks. So we basically compare this 10 weeks EMA with the 30 weeks EMA. So the previous week, the 10 weeks EMA has to be stays below the 30 weeks EMA, but this week 10 weeks EMA stays above the 30 weeks EMA, so that is a crossover situation. So some people might want to use this one, this indicator to scanning the market and looking for the buying signals. Okay, let's see what we can get from the market scan again. Let's go and open the second one. Let's remove those noise. Old scanning results. Let's look. Okay. Let's just can run it. We can run it straight away from here. The second one, which is this one. All right. We click OK button to start it. As you can see, that those functions that we are using, the two conditions, that looks all right. Let's click OK. We get 3 of them. Let's take a look at the first one. So in this time we have to open a moving average pair. So first one is our 10 weeks. This is our slower moving average, so faster moving average. And we also open another EMA. We're using 30 weeks EMA, let's say in pink. So as you can see, this is correct, because if you just look at the EMA value pairs, so the light blue, the faster moving average, it stays above the pink one from this week, but you can't see that clearly from the chart, but it's slightly above. But last week's it stays below. So here is a crossover scenario is going to happen. So if you bring up back the candles chart, and you can see probably yeah, I mean you might want to buy set the buy orders in the next Monday, but anyway, so this is just a demo and tells you can use this filter to looking for all the scenario that fulfills this moving average crossover above scenario. So this is first example. Let's take a look at the SFR. This is our second one. Again, let's bring up our 10 weeks fast moving average. We're using 10 weeks EMA. Okay, let's take a look at the 30 weeks EMA as the slow moving average. So this one is a little bit more obvious. If you just take a look at moving average pairs, you can see the fast moving average, the light blue one stays above the pink one. The pink one is our slower moving average 30 weeks EMA, but previous week it stays below. So actually it's bring us into this moment, which is the moving average crossover, right? So that's a good market scan results. So it's up to the trader. Do you want to make some buy decisions or not. So you have to combine with the other technical analysis. You have to take a look here, the charts, and figure out the support and resistance, and check out the volumes as well, and what's happening here. And you decided, do you want to get in this share next Monday or not? Okay, so there's another one. That's a good one. So the final one is this UMG. Yeah, so this is quite new shares. As you can see, you don't have many data before. So this is just set at IPO this year, but you still can bring up its moving average pair 10 weeks EMA. Okay, and also your 30 weeks EMA. Let's say we're using another color. Take a look at the EMA itself. As you can see, yes, the light blue one is slightly above the pink one, but previous week it stays obviously below the pink one. So the pink line is our slower EMA, 30 weeks EMA. So that's also another right result. Okay, so here, as you can see, we used some of the functions. We used the previous value and also value. This is two value related moving average functions. So as you can see here, that we use those value related functions to create some of the useful market scan. Now let's move on to the third one. See, what are we gonna do this time? All right, so here is so this indicator, we call it as moving EMA 5 weeks, 10 weeks, 20 weeks, 30 weeks, 50 weeks clustering, and they have just less than 3%. So basically what this described is to help you guys find out the all the stocks which have in with their moving average lines clustering together, and then inside 3% range. What it really means is let me just quickly open a chart for you. For example, let's still take like APT. So let's open the let's take a look here. So what I mean is, as you can see, if a share starts to move into their stage 2 bullish movement starts, for example, the trend, the share is moving up strongly. As you can see, the moving average, everything starts from a point. What I mean is, it starts from here, right? Even though this movement above, so the moving average is slow. It's moving from a very clustering stage to a very further apart stage. So looks like the waves, right? So this scan gives you all the shares, in the market, right? Depends on the end date you set up for the market scan. So it tells you at that moment how many shares their moving average are clustering together, right? So sticks together, and this range has to be stated in 3%. So you have to give it a range, 3%, right? So not 10%, 30%, 15%, and that is too far away from each other, but less than 5%, and this or 3%, I think is a good value. So it will give you that moment. So you probably can just decide it yourself if you want to buy. If you're lucky, so if you got that one here, that is a really decent move up, right? So same with the downtrend. As you can see, if you moving average is clustering together, but they're pointing down, for example here, right? All of them are pointing down, so that probably means the share price will, moving further down. So this, let's close that one. So this filter, this indicator filter containing those conditions and give you those results. So let's take a look at this one. So first of all, how we set it up, this thing, right? So we have 5 conditions. The first condition, let's see here, the first condition we use in the value. So first of all, is we requires the 5 weeks EMA value and subtract with the 10 weeks EMA value, right? You're using ABS diff means um, this subtract value could be negative and positive. We only requires the positive. That's the math ABS absolute value mean, right? So you can check your math book, and that's subtracted value. So that difference between 5 weeks EMA and 10 weeks EMA has to be stay in a range less than 3%. And then you jump into another condition. So you create another condition. Say, also I want my 10 weeks EMA, ABS diff with my 20 weeks EMA, and that value has to be inside 3% range as well. So that's our second. 5 weeks compared with 10 weeks, 10 weeks compared with 20 weeks EMA. The third one we're using 20 weeks EMA compared with 30 weeks EMA. Right, exactly the same setting. ABS diff has to be stays within 3%. Finally, 30 weeks EMA compared with 50 weeks EMA, and that range has to be less than 3% as well. ABS diff, right? ABS diff, it doesn't matter is that 30 weeks is larger than 50 weeks EMA value or less, but that difference has to be inside in a range. That range is less than 3%. Finally, most important, you need to close this circle, right? You compare 5 weeks to 10 weeks, 10 weeks with 20, 20 weeks with 30 weeks, 30 weeks with 50 weeks, and you need to close this circle. You have to specify the 50 weeks EMA compared with 5 weeks EMA, and that range also has to be inside that 3%. Okay, so that's the group of 5, 10, 20, 30, 50 moving average group. So that group has to be clustering together and less than 3%. So if you found that, let's take a look how we can find from that market scan. That's our third one. Delete old market scan results. Let's do a fresh scan by using that indicator filter 3. And that one, let's start to look at it here and let's run it. Okay, we have 41 results here. Right click on the scan result history and double click that green result here. If you have something, you will see the green colors, item, but you don't have any that. If you don't see these green items down here, that means you haven't found any results. Okay. Excuse me. Double click on that, you get this overview. As you can see, 41 shares fulfill this condition. All right, because we want to examine that moving EMA group, so I already defined a unified chart opening configuration. So I saved all those configuration on my unified chart opening mode, and then open any chart. So it automatically draw those moving average for me. I don't need to open in the EMA one by one for every chart. So that's the good part for this function. All right, let's double click on the last one. So as you can see, the moving average is already drawn for me. If I hide the bar chart and only looking at the moving average, so as you can see here, I do found a moving average clustering together, and then the range is within 3%, right? Unfortunately, it's moving down, but that's a good result. Let's quickly have a look. Another one. Let's only look at the line charts here. So as you can see, this WOR also fulfills this condition because they are quite close together as within the 3% range, right? So every time when moving average, all the moving average for this group must stay together. That means this underlying security might have a very good jump, even though it's a correction. So you would see a decent jump or down. Okay, it's decent moving up or down. So that means the momentum energy of this stock has been compressed to some extremely stage. So it's gonna be, the price is going to break up or down. Okay, so that's just another good result. Let's take a look at VCX. All right, this is also right result. If you check the line chart, as you can see, the moving average group stands out, and the underlying line chart of this stock itself becomes another color. So some people ask me how can I do this. It's just basically you need to go into the chart and open. You have to go into the chart. The first one is display settings, so you have to configure your line chart. All right. So basically, all you need to do is just give it the line chart color with the same color with your background. So that's you can kind of hide it. All right, and you click save, and then done. So whenever you click the line chart, you hide the barred candles, etc. So the moving average stands out. Okay, so that's again a good result because as you can see, this indicator group, this moving average EMA groups are clustering together within 3% range. Okay, there are quite many of them. Some of them are very good shares. For example, this one from the overview chart, it looks quite good. I mean, it's consolidated for such a long time, and moving average clustering TCL. This is a utility kind of company. I think it's just an infrastructure company, big company doing infrastructure. So as you can see, that moving average stays, together again, even though it's can it be run another good not sure also because last time it happens it has such a good run, but this time we are expecting do we have this quite good run again. You need to do your research and more research based on this company, and also you have to apply other type of technical analysis. Okay, so this is our the third one. Let's move on. Take a look at the fourth one. So the first one is a little bit interesting. So the fourth one looks like the exact same with the third one, but we have one more condition, right? Because we also not only I want to the EMA groups clustering together, but also I want to see the very important moving average, which is our 30 weeks EMA sloping up since last 12. All right, so this particular one has to be moving up, right? If it's moving down, I don't want it because that's a bearish sign, but I want this 30 weeks EMA moving up since its last 12, right? If we add this one, obviously you won't get as many as results like the previous one. Let's see what we can get from the market scan for the fourth one, right? Okay. Yes, we run the fourth one. The previous one have 40 something. Let's see what this this one we get. So here you go, the last one. We added one more condition. 30 weeks EMA has also been sloping up since last 12, and the previous one we have 41 results. This one we have 20 results here. So that's expected because we eliminated that all the shares with their 30 weeks EMA moving downwards. All right, let's take a look at the results now. Okay, 20 of them. Let's take a look at the chart preview first, right? So first of all, looks like there's no shares that very obviously is moving downwards. They're either moving into a sideways moves, either it's a sideways moves or it is moving up. Right, here's a sideways, but this is sideways here, and this consolidation looks like in the consolidation, but this one is quite strong consolidation looking, and this one as well, right? Because it's approaching their all-time high. Let's take a look at this one, JB Hi-Fi. So the 30 weeks moving averages, which is this purple one, is moving up since its last 12. So it's slightly moving up, but that's fine, right? and all these other moving average EMA lines are clustering together. So I think probably this is a good buy. This one as well, FPH. I just showed you guys before, I think. So first of all, it's in a looks like in the consolidation stages, right? This share has a good run, and it's consolidated for almost 1.5 year to form in this training range. From here, maybe to here, forming a triangle pattern. If it can break up from here, sorry. So if you can do any kind of break up from somewhere from here, and then that's gonna be a very good sign. It might be just moving further up. So like this one for previous week, moving average clustering together, 30 weeks moving average is pointing up. So this is a good one. Okay. All right, let's take a look at the other one, which is not that very bullish looking, but it is still, you know, like that one. I think I already have looked at one. Like this one. This is like, I think this shares, instead of the share price recently is close to their all-time low instead of all-time high, but again, looks like this was bottoming. You need to figure out, you know, how to see if this share is in the bottom. So this one is a very strong bullish, sorry, very strong bearish. So it's in a bear market for quite some time, for at least 5 years, and then recently it's turning around, looks like, but the volume doesn't appears not picking up. Instead, it has a moving average clustering scenario happening, and also its 30 weeks moving average is pointing up, right? So this is the another result. So this is looks a result. So I mean, this fulfills our conditions, but it is in a very strong bear market. So you need to apply more information, apply more analysis, and to make sure what do you think it's gonna be a turnaround, or you know, or just stay away from this one. Okay, so here is the fourth one. So this one we added one direction related one. So as you can see, we get rid of those bearish movement one. So because, and we kept all the 30 weeks EMA moving up one. So, and also moving up. So also the even moving average cluster together. That is forms our the fourth indicator filter. Okay, let's take a look at the last one. Okay, I haven't finished up the configuration for the last one, but I wanted just to show you guys one thing is very special functions we can use for the moving average comparison. We can set up a duration. So what I really mean is, let's take a look. Let's take a look the open a chart. Same with this. It's APT. What I really mean is for you can use this filter. So we can say, you know, how about we want to know moving averages stick together, and also I want this clustering to be consistent and existing for some time. For example, for a, you know, most I don't know how to explain it, but for any consolidation, right, or bottoming or something, so for a share market which is the bottom, okay, and forming a bottom pattern, and also when the share is in its consolidation, and if this consolidation lasts a really long time, then the upwards movement is going to be stronger. It depends on, so sometimes you really want to ask question is, I want to see, you know, the moving average clustering together and clustering close to each other, and this stage is maintained for quite some time. I want to configure this period of time. So I want, and so I will know, and this share is in its consolidation stage for quite a long time, right? I want to get all of those shares in my watch list and be careful. Be very careful. If any one of them appears a good sign, I'm gonna buy, right? So here's example, even though it's not a very good example, but as you can see the APT from this time range, um, the moving average is close to each other, but it stays in, you know, I think it's 5 or 10% range, right? Um, yeah, let's take a look the another one from the previous market scan. See if I can find a better example. All right, let's take a look at this HP. All right, here. Okay. Okay, so I'm not sure. It's that this one looks like if this one is bottom, right? If this underlying share is in a bottom pattern like that for like years, and suddenly it breaks up from the trend line or something, right? And the moving average clustering together, it lasted for quite some time, for like 2 years. And if it breaks up, I think it's a fantastic opportunity for me to buy it. So that's why we have this function here to help you to identify this kind of scenario. You can specify a time, you know, to ask question. You can specify a time like this width of this rectangle. I want to, I want all the shares, looks like this, right? For past 2 years range, and then you can the market share. So the market scan, our application can give you all the results. Let's just apply a market scan. But before I do the market scan, I need to finish up this settings. So first one, right? So this one looks like exactly the same like the previous one, but let's add the duration. So for the past 30 weeks. So as you can see for the second one, if I click the modify condition and this one appears, let's save it. The third one is modified condition. Let's save it. Modify condition. Right here, if you so if you not save this one, basically what you can do is when this condition, you modify condition, when you see this one is enabled for past blah blah, you need to select, because we check weekly chart, we pick up week here and we specify how many weeks. For this example, I want to see for the past 30 weeks moving average, stick together, give me all these shares, and this range has to be within 3%. So we save it, that one we modify, and we save it. Okay, so now let's do a market scan. So we keep this one here as well because I want to see the 30 weeks EMA moving up. Let's go back to our market scan. I haven't created yet, so let's create it. Say EMA clustering for 30 weeks and EMA, let's just name that one because this is our last example. Select the market I'm going to scan. I need to pick up the number 5. So that's our condition. Okay, let's run the market scan for the number 5, which is this one. Okay, so that looks so good. So the past 30 weeks is in here. This one is also there. All the condition looks so good for me, and let's run it. All right. Unfortunately, I haven't got this. We haven't got this any results. So, which means we didn't find anything in the market, and in the current market condition. But maybe let's just check if we can just see if you can lose this condition. I don't want this condition to be like very strict for 30 weeks. Let's say I just want to see 10 weeks. Okay, for the past 10 weeks, as long as you have moving average stay together, um, we want to include it. Oops. So it's 10 weeks. Oh, sorry, that's 5 and 10. That's 10 to 20. That looks alright. So here, sorry, it's here for past 10 weeks. Sorry, I should change here. Change it 10 weeks. First one is 5 weeks and 10 weeks closing less than 3%, 10 weeks 20%. So with 10 weeks EMA and 20 weeks EMA close together. And no, past 10 weeks, that's also correct. Alright, so already, let's modify that one and change it to past 10 weeks. Change it to past 10 weeks. Last one, also change it to past 10 weeks. Okay. Okay. We have changed all of them. Let's do another scan, see if we can find anything. Cool. Because we shrink it the duration, so we check it out past 10 weeks. Now we found 5 of them. Now I'm quite happy. All right, let's take a look at those results here. All right, BGA fulfilled condition. Okay. If we just take a look at the moving average, yes, everything's fine. The BGA actually stayed together for past 10 weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So yes, until here it stays within 3%. So BGA actually consolidated for 10 weeks. Actually, you know, it's more than 2 months. Yeah, that's the good results. Okay, so let's take a look at the BWP. You see, because we do not ask for that long time consolidation in such narrow range, less than 3%. That's why we got something, because previous settings is 30 weeks, so that's pretty long. You know, so that's why we change it to less weeks. Past 10 weeks, we got more results. Yes, as you can see, this guy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So here is 3% right here. So that's fulfill the condition. So as you can see, this range is quite the moving average is very close to each other, right? So that's correct for 10 weeks. Take a look at this one. That must be fulfilled the condition, because from the overview I can see the shares not moving too much. Let's take a look here. 10 weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So right here, that's 10 weeks, right? So from here, moving average clustering together, and 30 weeks EMA move up. That's a good one. Okay. So this couple of shares, the EHE also in here. Let's take a look at the weekly chart. It's absolutely fulfill our condition, right? 10 weeks right here. Cool. So this is another good one, right? So I think I have finished all this indicator filter creation. So I showed you guys how to use moving average functions to create a meaningful indicator filter, and also we do found quite a bit of results based on those settings here. Actually, you guys can apply, you know, the moving average. You can create a moving average indicator filter, and then you can combine with the other indicator as well, and also maybe you can combine with the trend filters, and you have more comprehensive and detailed market scan. So up to now, I have finished all the moving average related indicator filter creation, and um, so I think that's pretty much all for this video tutorial. If you do have questions, please leave your comments below, and if I have time, so we will try our best to answer your questions. But always, you can, if you have questions regarding some of the functions, like the ones I showed you guys here, you can always go back to our documentation page in our main uh, home in our website. You go into our indicator filter function documentation page, you find the correct sections, and have a read those descriptions here. I think it can answer you most of the questions. Okay, so as you can see, the moving average itself, even though it is a very simple indicator, but if you combine our combine its functions together, we can find some very useful um, information, and you get very detailed, so very valuable information from the moving average indicator or in moving average indicator groups themselves. Okay, I think that's pretty much everything for this video tutorial. Thanks for your time to watching, and um, so hopefully it's very useful. You think the content is useful. I'll see you guys in next video tutorial. Thanks. Bye for now.